Welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience.
Experience sports like you've never had before.
Where the buck stops.
And the mic drops.
Bam. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. How you doing this week?
I'm glad to be doing this.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to be doing this.
I am
Especially
too.
with how the Rangers are doing.
Yeah, I mean, just a heads up, random yelling will happen this week. So if you catch this week's episode online, well, the Ranger game's on, and it's on our screens because we're not going to not watch it while we film.
And not only that, I decided to go ahead and break out my Nolan Ryan here on the Texas Rangers. I thought it was significant just because, Houston and Texas had to break out the Nolan, but represent Texas.
True. Get a little extra in there. As you can see, we also, if you've watched past episodes, we did not allow Altuve to, attend set the last 2 weeks. Just didn't feel right when we were rooting against him actively. I don't hate Altuve, but I don't want to face him. But I will say, game 2, Altuve walking up with 2 outs, my butthole got a little tight.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. You just don't go. You go, shit, not now. But
it was tight. It was real tight. I was more surprised at the fact that he got out of it, or the fact that they left him in, and he got out of it.
Yeah,
like that was the biggest thing.
It was worrisome when he came up with 2 outs, but they, he didn't hurt him. They won the game, 1-run lead. They win 5-4. Something's happening weird though. Oh no, Alvarez is still hurt, and Kyle Tucker just got walked. So they got 2. Rangers are currently on defense, top of the first inning, or top of the second with 1 out. The only runners to reach are by walk and hit by pitch. So Scherzer hasn't looked bad, but there's clearly been some command issues since the injury.
Yeah.
So diving in more though, like we said, the Astros are up 2, or Rangers are up 2-0 on the Astros. Phillies are up 2-0. I don't think we had anyone expected much from the Diamondbacks because the Phillies are that good. I think whoever won the Phillies and Braves series was beating the Diamondbacks once they upset the Dodgers. Like there was no question there. And as much as I want to keep rooting on the Ranger hype train, I think the Rangers are about to see some revenge for that first 3 seasons sweep because Rangers are playing good, but man, that Phillies team is scary.
They are, but you gotta have faith.
Oh, for sure. Gonna root for it.
Hashtag go and take it, baby.
Yeah. Oh, base hit. Bases are loaded now. They held the runner because he's a slow runner. Whew. So, but yeah, like we said, we'll probably talk the baseball game. What do you think's been the thing that you've liked the most about this playoff run? Like, would you say?
Man, just the fact that the pitching has been a lot better than the last series, especially Montgomery did really well in
very
game 1.
good in the playoffs.
The closer Chapman, he didn't look terrible. I was a little worried when he came in, but he was able to do decent. So
to get 2 guys out, only give up 1 hit. I will say I was not a fan of going to Leclerc for the 4-out save. I think Leclerc's already had too many days that he probably shouldn't have pitched in this postseason. So as good as he's been, you play the next 3 days in a row potentially if you don't close it out. And it scares me to think that you can't go to Leclerc at least 1 of those days. He can't pitch all 3 days in a row. And you don't like going to Chapman on 3 days rest. So this next 3 days was probably going to be the scariest part about it is that, one, we know the Astros statistically are a better team on the road than they are at home. They're 11 games over 500 this season on the road. They were below 500 at home.
But the Rangers are better at home than they are on the road.
It's also very true. But that still tells you, though, that the Astros aren't scared of the loud crowd, the hates, and all that stuff. So you have to account for that. And you know that the Astros have come to Arlington and kicked your ass already.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying...
Twice recently.
I sound like the negative Nancy here, but I guess I'm trying to be the real Debbie Downer fact.
No, you have to be a realist in this. Like,
exactly.
You have to admit that there are some difficulties in what's happening, and the fact that the Rangers have taken a 2-0 lead is the biggest thing, or the best thing that possibly could have happened, because of how good Houston is and the way that Houston has dominated Texas over the past, the whole season.
Wild pitch, run scores.
Okay, that's rough on Max.
Pass ball, technically, he tried to block it, though it could go either way.
Maybe he should have came in as relief first before coming in as a starter.
My concern on that is that he's only come in as a reliever like twice ever, and it's all been years ago. And so as he's been rehabbing back, they've likely been rehabbing him to be a starter at some point. So putting him in, even if you did the opener approach, it changes the style of warm-up he gets, the number of warm-up pitches he gets. It changes their routine.
I got you.
The starting pitcher generally gets to warm up with whoever the starting catcher is, some too, whereas he would never have gotten to warm up with Jonah. It would have been directly with it. And then we just had a base hit, run scored, 2 runs scored. It's 3-0 Astros by Martin Maldonado, of all people, getting a double. That's disgusting.
Oh, no.
Rangers down now, and my worry is that I think for the Rangers front, I think this game is more important than tomorrow's. The last thing I think you want to give the Astros is life. You let them win Game 3, Game 4 becomes beyond vital, obviously, because you don't want to go back to Houston, even though you've won there.
Yeah.
If you go back to Houston, you want to go back to Houston 3-2 at the worst. Because if you go back down, this series is over. Houston wins it. I don't want to go down to them at any point. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Jonah's pretty pissed at himself right there too.
Oh, he should be.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's not a ton to talk on baseball. There's only 4 teams left, but it's really you'll hear spots and jumps in throughout. Going in, I'll slide over to some football time now. I guess where we. Unless we want to bring up the Gold Glove finalists real quick. I know that's going on.
Well, no. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, so because it does play directly into the Rangers. They did announce the Gold Glove finalists today. I think the biggest news of all was that Nolan Arenado's consecutive dominance of third base Gold Gloves, that's over. He had won 10 in a row, and so now we won't have that streak anymore because he didn't even make the finalist list. American League-wise, you've got Nate Lowe for the Rangers on the list. That second base has Marcus Semien. Third base has Alex Bregman, so there's your Astro drop in. Shortstop's got Corey Seager on the list. Nobody in the playoffs right now for left field, center field. But Adolis Garcia, of all people, is actually on there for right field. So I don't think you don't think about Bombi and think of Gold Glove caliber defense, but he is sitting here. Kyle Tucker is also on the list. He's the reigning Gold Glove winner for the AL, so that'll be nice to see there how that plays. Oh, and Jonah Heim as at the catcher position. Let's see. You've got National League wise. You've got Freddie Freeman's on the list for first base. Cubs second baseman Nico Horner. I'm quietly going to root for that there. Just a couple other guys. Nothing. I'm trying to see if there's any fun things that stand out. Mookie Betts has actually been nominated twice, I believe. Yeah, Mookie Betts is nominated in 2 different positions. He's nominated in right field, and I think this year or last year they started off bringing a utility player for that super sub. You can take Josh Harrison for that. He's played for the Pirates, the guy that would play everywhere for them. Mm-hmm. Mookie Betts is the front runner for that, and that's largely because he played like 30 games at shortstop. He played some second base. Okay. They had some struggles.
Yeah.
So he could legitimately win 2 Gold Gloves in one season. I don't think we'll ever see that happen again. If he pulls it off. If he pulls it off. So, that's a cool little note, Gold Glove-wise, things like that. So,
that is pretty cool. That is pretty interesting. I didn't realize that they would actually do stuff like that. Double.
Yeah,
I wonder what the chances are that he could actually.
Let's see. It says here, typically a full-time right fielder. There are also finalists. Betts moved around, playing 70 games at second base, 16 at shortstop, an additional 107 in right. Betts finished with 10 defensive runs saved overall. Edman, the 21 Gold Glove winner, is a finalist on there. He finished with the same number. So he's lined up with the guys that are sitting on there. The other finalists would be Ha-Sung Kim from San Diego. Han-Seong Kim. Yeah, I'm not going to say that right. So that'll be interesting. And then right field, it's Fernando Tatis Jr. and Lane Thomas. Never heard of that guy. So Tatis Jr. did look really good, but forget that guy. He cheats. So all right. Well, then now we'll slide over. Last little touch up on football there. We'll slide in or baseball. We'll slide into some football now. Bombi just grounded out. So, all right.
That's all right. Yeah. So the big news is Anthony Richardson is done for the year.
Yep.
He's having shoulder surgery. Wow.
Yeah.
That was difficult to get out. I don't know why.
It was. There's actually there's a few quarterbacks having that. The Deshaun Watson situation.
Yeah, he's having a weird rotator cuff issue that's supposed to like deep tissue.
Yeah, and they're saying there's no date at this time that they commit to, but they haven't put him on IR yet. I don't think.
Well, it's because he's day to day. Like it's
so
they don't, and it's that for that reason because they don't know if he'll be able to go next week or not. So it's like. Wait, he can't go. Okay, well.
See, at that point,
next week.
I'm just resting him. I'm putting him down, and we're going to say, okay, we don't know what's wrong. Let's take 4 weeks off. No throwing, no nothing. Does the NFL let you retroactivate?
No.
No, so when you go on the IR, that's the date. Then you
you
should have already put him on the IR.
Yeah.
So then now you might as well just hold the roster spot and tell him you're not going to play for 3 more weeks because he's already missed 1 game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be the only thing you could think to do. I mean, you won a game with P.J. Walker, again, of all people. Against
and he looked pretty good.
He didn't look bad, yeah. And he won against the freaking 49ers, so props on him.
And, we kind of looked at it last week and we were like, P.J. Walker over DTR? Like,
I know.
really?
I'm going to be honest, it worked out, but I still don't believe it.
I mean, but P.J. Walker he's actually done good every time he's had to step in. Like, he did good last year in Carolina.
Yeah.
XFL, he dominated. Like, when he's given the opportunity, he's done well, but he's definitely not that guy that you want starting.
Plays a lot like Tyrod Taylor.
Yes.
Who also had a pretty good week this week
and
almost got himself an upset win for a team. So
he sure did. And, speaking of quarterbacks going down, Minshew Mania is back, and he's going to be
55 pass attempts last week.
taking it all the way to the end of the year with Anthony Richardson out.
Yeah.
So Colts are probably going to be looking at a top 5 to 10 pick now.
And here's I don't know about that. I mean, they're 3-3 right now.
I had to say it just
I'm sure.
take a shot.
But the weird thing is they're sitting at 3-3 right now. I mean, you're not going to draft a quarterback.
No, you're not.
But you kind of want to be able to draft high because you could get a guy like a Neighbors would be a great guy to get for a team like the Colts. Then again, Downs has looked pretty good for them. He's started to come on
you're going to want, because even though Pittman is really good, Pittman is really more of a receiver 2.
Yeah.
So you really want to try to get that receiver 1, and you're not going to get Marvin Harrison unless you're picking at number 2.
Yeah.
So you're already ruling that out. But like Malik Neighbors and even Keon Coleman from Florida State, who has really looked really good this year.
Very good.
Like those are 2 guys that the Colts would probably look at because and maybe even offensive line because this draft is loaded with offensive linemen at the top. So you already have let me see, your offensive line. You have Bernard Raymond, I believe, who's at your left tackle. Blake Freeland. So Blake Freeland. Then you have your All-Pro Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Will Freeze, and then Braden Smith. I mean, you have some guys, but for the most part, you really want to get that offensive line a lot better.
Exactly.
Or
because you have an injury-prone quarterback.
So a guy that was always injured in college, he got injured a bunch. Now he's getting injured in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, he has got all kinds of skills coming out of his ass.
But if he's not on the field,
it ain't going to matter.
Well, exactly, and he can't refine the skills.
And then a lot of people that are worried, hopefully this doesn't turn into a Cam Newton situation. Because the Cam Newton shoulder injury is what basically ruined his career. Yeah. So now he's dealing with a shoulder injury. So
Cam used to have a cannon.
Yeah, so they're worried about that because he's got a cannon. And if that shoulder injury ends up affecting the fact that he won't have as much power anymore, like that takes away a massive part of his game.
Of the game, for sure. Well, especially because the Brown, though knowing they need guys to help, they do have a couple of burners on that roster. Like Pittman's not going to be your downfield burner guy, but Downs has some pretty decent speed and able to get
Josh
downfield.
Downs.
Alec Pierce is another guy that can get down the field. Like if they could ever open up that passing game like that, they've got guys that can go. Okay, go get it.
Yeah, his target share is ridiculously low.
Who?
Alec Pierce.
Agreed.
Like,
I expected a lot more.
It was
out of
like 22%. And I'm like, do you really need to run that much? Like, you need to open the offense up. Like, quit. Jonathan Taylor is good, but
well, and it's not. And right now, Jonathan Taylor hasn't even been the guy. Zach Moss has outplayed Jonathan Taylor so far. Now Taylor just got back, and he's got to get in shape. Well, I guess on the Alec Pierce thing, like, it surprises me because his size and stature, he's not a small guy for his speed. I mean, like a guy like Mahomes would probably drool over an Alec Pierce. He's what, a 6'1" or something in that ballpark?
Tom Brady would love him.
Yeah, he's a big guy that he's proven he'll take a hit. We've seen him get blasted a couple times and he'll still go down the field. Like, I gotta be honest, he's kind of getting slept on. Like,
he is. It's crazy. It's crazy because of if you watched him in college, the dude was good, but for some reason it's just they're more of a run first offense. I mean, well, except for with Gardner Minshew, 55.
Well, and they were down pretty quick last week, so they kind of. I mean, I hate when teams say we're down, so we have to throw. Like, you still need to have the running game in your arsenal, but they didn't. They just.
But there is definitely a point where you have to abandon it and just go. We got to throw.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I almost think sometimes that when you get to we got to throw mode, there's going to be some openings to at least the occasional, up the gut, because we've thrown 12 passes in a row.
Right.
They're on their heels.
Yeah.
So let's go through the hole. Like, there are moments like that, but we'll do like we always do.
And speaking of quarterback injuries, Las Vegas with Jimmy Garoppolo with his back, and then Chicago with Justin Fields and his dislocated thumb.
Yeah.
So did you hear about that?
I saw him get hurt.
So he went over to the sideline and popped it back in place, but he just couldn't grip the football, so they wouldn't let him go in. So he went over there.
So he tried.
He was like,
I'm
going back in, and then he just couldn't grip the football.
Okay.
And now he wanted to go in.
They have an undrafted kid that's their backup. Tyson Baggett. Who balled out in the preseason. Like, he went from I'm not making the team to they cut like half the quarterback room and made him the 2. Like, they really like this kid.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm not saying he's going to go take Fields' job.
He might actually do pretty good against the Raiders.
He could, and the Raiders, well, they do, but they're weird because we think as soon as we go to say they suck, they go and have a game like they did a few weeks ago where they held someone that had like the Chargers, I think, to like 17 points. Where now the Chargers have some play calling and some questions of their own across their offense, but like, where they held them to like, and they played a close game and won on it. Now they also have one of the best defensive players in football in that defense. Yeah. Because Max Crosby is a monster.
They also have a rookie on that defensive line too that's just underwhelming, and I knew he would. Like, he was one of those that I did not think should be drafted as high as he was. And he's that boy from Texas Tech, Tyree Wilson.
Yes. Now he didn't start the season right away though. He's still coming off the injury, right?
Yeah, he was coming off of an injury, but
he
hasn't
looked good coming back
good.
yet. Gotcha.
Like, he's getting beat almost at every opportunity that he's on the field.
Was he the fastest guy at his position? I'm just assuming that's why the Raiders drafted him.
No, he got drafted for the same reason Travon Walker got drafted. He's got all the
ability
measurables. Okay. Like, he's got the 38-inch arms.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Jose Altuve, bomb. 4-0 Houston.
Solo bomb.
Yep.
So he's got those freakish measurables that he's just got those really long arms, powerful upper body. So a lot of people drooled on the fact that, you get that leverage. Yeah. But the problem that he had in college was he was never that good at getting leverage. He just had the long arms. Mm. So they were hoping that he's got the frame, these long arms, we can develop him into like a legit
the right way
pass rusher. Same thing is happening with Travon Walker. Like, right now, if we went back, you would not take Travon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, no. If you knew what you were doing and you're Jacksonville, you take Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, if you switch that pick and Hutch is on the Jags, they're not just a contender. They might be a front runner.
Yeah. Well, the defense would be completely
That
different.
dude
he
is a monster.
And Travon Walker is just, he's got those measurables, and that's it. Like, he's done decent, but when you're being compared to the guy that was drafted one pick after you in the same exact position, and he is far and away doing better than you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's Jalen Reagor to Justin Jefferson.
Oh,
but
no,
like
not that
it's,
far. Not
it's
that far.
It's that similarity of where we picked the same position, and one guy has had a better chance.
I'm gonna do it more Justin Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy. I think that one's a little more. That one's closer to the comparison.
Okay, yeah, because Judy's been okay.
Rager is trash.
I will. That really would though. The thought of it. Now that said though, I love what Hutchinson's mentality brings to Detroit. I don't know that man could have gone to a better destination.
No, perfect.
The coaching style, being a hometown kid, like. I stand by the statement that there should all. If they would have just made the shirt that said "Mr. Detroit" with Hutchinson's silhouette, like I'd have bought it. Like I'm in on it. And
he still might.
Right. Like I was kind of on the mindset of him coming out of college that it was like a lot of people were saying, like you're gonna get this guy. Like he's ready. This is NFL ready. He will never be better than he is now. He'll never be worse. And then he told everyone to fuck off. Watch me be better. I think they were showing one graphic where because he was drafted with Sauce. The kid from LSU that's on the Texans.
Devin Stingley.
Yeah, Stingley. That's from
Derek Stingley.
Derek Stingley. Walker, all these guys that were drafted around him, and they all combined for one interception. He's got 4. It's like, what the hell is he doing? So, no, yeah. But with that said, on the discussion of Travon Walker and the Jags, first game of the week would be tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, New Orleans. In New Orleans. Poor Jacksonville. Scheduling gods hate them. First, you have to go to London. Then you have to play in London 2 weeks in a row. Then you don't get a bye week and have to come back and play the early game, only to turn around and play Thursday. Like, F you, NFL. This is what you do to crappy teams, and they don't suck anymore.
No, that's all Shad or Shad.
That's true. A lot of that is on Shad Khan.
Him.
A lot of that is on him because he likes that national exposure. And it's worked for them because they actually have they've developed a kind of a home field advantage when they go to London because of that fan base. So I won't, you're right. I'm not going to completely crap on the idea of it, and they beat the Bills.
They did.
In London because it was basically a home game because they were there the week before as the home team. So, but going into that, I will say Jags I think handled the Saints. Saints are very hit or miss.
Yeah, I was expecting Derek Carr to be a little bit better. I thought last year it wasn't him. I thought it was just crappy coaching because, I mean, it's still crappy coaching, but seeing him in New Orleans with a team that's actually got a good offensive line and some good weapons, he's just not doing what I expected him to do.
I would say I think he's looked better the last 2 weeks since Kamara came back. A real running threat. They lost Jamal Williams, was it week 1? Like he had a good game, got hurt in the middle of the game, and they've really not had anybody to kind of even threaten the run there.
I mean, that is true.
And so having Kamara back, Kamara, yes, is that level of player, but Kamara is also an older back. Like he's a guy that's not looking at extensions at this point. He's in that same boat with guys we've talked about, like a Zeke's and the Aaron Joneses and that clump of, I'm going to start playing for one contract at a time, guys. Dalvin Cooks.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I will say that he has helped kind of make them look a little more comfortable. The offense look good, and they're still 3-3. Like they're not out of it by any means. But and playing at the Superdome is never easy. Right now, Vegas has New Orleans as a 1-point favorite. I still tend to take Trevor Lawrence and the Jags because I don't think Trevor Lawrence has even stepped up to what we expected him to be this season.
No, he hasn't. He's
been
in a way
sluggish
has
himself.
been a little bit of a letdown as well. I thought I had a picture saved, but I don't know where it is. It was a side-by-side comparison of Derek Carr and Andy Dalton last year, and basically Andy Dalton was better in the first 6 weeks. Andy Dalton had 10 touchdowns to Carr's 5, 5 interceptions to Carr's 3. But if you doubled that, he'd have more.
Yeah.
And then he had more passing yards, more air yards. Everything was better than Carr.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, and that's the guy you just was like, eh. And now you got this guy that's just, you got the same weapons. He didn't have Kamara.
No.
He didn't have a healthy Kamara.
Most of the season, yeah.
So, it's the same coach, it's the same team, same offensive line. Just, I thought Carr was better than what he was.
Carr actually has a little bit of a better weapon thing because you can factor in that Michael Thomas has been healthy this season.
And that too, yeah.
So
yeah.
maybe it's a struggle getting the system. I don't know. Like I said, they've looked better, but I still think Jacksonville. I would take them.
Yeah.
They haven't lost on the road yet, and they keep that way. I think
that's true.
They've looked good, and I said at the beginning of the year that I'm gonna have a little fun with my MVP vote and say that it was gonna be the Prince, and so I think he could play more. I think we're just waiting to see that next. And remember last season that was kind of the thing. They started a little slow and then they kicked it into gear. Maybe London is just their turn on because it was kind of after London that they got going last year. So who knows?
Yeah.
So then we go into the noon games.
Yeah, Vegas and Chicago. Don't really care about that.
Battle of backup quarterbacks, potentially rookies. I don't know. I guess they're going to go with Hoyer, aren't they, over McConnell? The Raiders will.
Yeah.
That'll be a battle of backups. In the sake, just for the hell of it, I hope the Bears win because forget the Raiders.
And then you got another battle of the backup quarterbacks with Cleveland and Indianapolis.
Yeah, well, we're going to say that the Browns fluked last week. The Colts win and go to 4-3.
No,
because of the defense of the Browns. It's that good.
Yeah, it is that good that they're going to win.
To put in how good that defense was last weekend, do you see Purdy's numbers? Until about 3 minutes to go, Purdy had 74 passing yards in the first half. All the way until the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter, Purdy had 74. He had thrown for 1 yard.
Yeah.
The entire second half. And then they was essentially garbage time trying to drive down to take the lead. They get into position and the field goal gets missed. So, that defense is stupid.
There was a little bit of a clutch gene there with him just driving down there to score.
He did, though. He did get him in
I'll
there.
give him that. He struggled that entire game, but that last drive, that was a clutch drive that Moody missed.
Yes, and that kid, Moody missed twice. He's only 2 misses all season, but the kid missed 2 kicks. So you got to see how he bounces back because that's a third-round pick of a kicker. You're not going to go and just cut him right away.
Oh, no.
Third-round pick, you could. Third-round pick's not a joke of an asset at that point.
Kickers don't really last that long. It don't matter where you draft them.
That's true. It could be hit or miss there. So then we go in next game. Are you getting the same one I got? Bills-Patriots?
Yep.
There's not a conversation. The Bills will probably walk through New England after a disappointing showing against the Giants last week.
Yeah.
They got the win, but it wasn't convincing.
Mac is just, again, same as Carr. I thought Mac was going to be better. He's just...
Having a real OC you think would change the difference?
Yeah.
I think that we're watching the end of the Patriot era. I think that after this season, I don't know that Belichick comes back. I think a new staff's coming in. I think we're going to see a whole new restart. It's been 25 years.
He's part of the team, though. He's part of the front office and everything.
Maybe he can stay in part of the front office and not the coaching.
That would be it would have to be him making the decision to step back. It won't
which
be
is also questionable.
Firing unless they're firing him completely.
Yeah, there's too many things his hands are in to just say you're fired. But I do wonder if I do strongly think there will be a discussion of adjusting the role next season.
There might
be either become essentially the front office guy with them, or be the coach. Maybe there's too much on his plate, but he's been doing it that way for a while. So.
Yeah, and
he's not a good drafter though. That's part of the problem.
He's terrible.
He's never been a good drafter, and so that's why I wonder that maybe we see the end of that style, and they just stay on the sideline, because he's kind of been what the Eagles had with old boy that coached at Oregon, and that didn't work out. What's his name?
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly, where he was running everything. The Eagles just figured out quick, this ain't going to work, and got rid of him. But you're not going to get rid of him. He's won 6 Super Bowls.
Well, that's because Chip Kelly came in and said, we're getting rid of that, 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 we're getting rid of that. And he just gutted the team, and everyone's all like,
Why?
What are we going to cheer for now?
LaShawn McCoy was interviewed about that one day, and he was so mad. He was like, y'all realize that we had me, Vic, Macklin, Deshaun, all of us were at the back end of our prime. Like, we were Super Bowl ready, and then he just came in and blew that bitch up. So, and then you look at it and you realize, damn, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, they had a ready-to-win roster.
They did, and then he just came in and was like, I don't want to play with that roster.
And they had all the pieces that his offense needed. Because remember, he was the fast-paced offense. He brought that to college football. There were rules made because he was going too fast.
Yeah.
Like, you had it. You had Michael Vick, faster than half the damn league, who could get to the offensive line, point out everything, and go. We could be running plays in the league in 10 seconds. Man, you don't realize how badly he screwed that up.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he's not in the NFL anymore.
True. And he's on his third college job since then. He hasn't stayed around in college since, like he did at Oregon.
And then you got battle of the NFC East bottom, Washington and New York.
I'm gonna go Washington.
I'm gonna go Washington.
Washington will go to 4-3 and keep hanging around for a wild card spot. That'll be what they're gonna do there.
Yeah, Sam is. You know what? We're going to be watching the battle of the most sacked quarterbacks.
True. This is true.
Because both of them, there's no one close to them.
Fun fact: Sam Howell's got more passing yards this season than Trevor Lawrence.
Sam Howell's got a lot of passing yards.
He's got 1,500 yards.
He does. It's crazy. He actually does pretty good. He just gets sacked a ton.
Yeah,
he
does.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Like, just throw the ball away, bro. Just throw it away.
They need to. It's crazy that because he hasn't played bad enough to lose them games, except the Buffalo game. But that's the only game we've seen him play like that. I'd say that I don't think even how the season's holding out that you're the Washington Commanders. You're looking at the draft right now, going, we have to pick a quarterback.
Well, it depends on where you're drafting because
that does.
Right now, with the way that it's looking, you got Caleb Williams and Drake May are basically 1A, 1B, and it depends on what style you want, who's going to be first.
Yeah.
And whoever's going to be up there drafting, or what team's going to be there. But after that, it's kind of wide open. Like, right now, J.J. McCarthy is kind of the third guy because Quinn Ewers, after that Oklahoma game, like, a lot of people are just kind of questioning a lot of stuff about him because he has no deep ball or no deep ball accuracy at all.
Yeah.
So, like, you've got a big problem there. So, he was the guy that a lot of people thought at the beginning of this year was going to be that third quarterback. But, like, if you're Washington, you're kind of going, we could just keep building the team. Like,
I mean, yeah, like,
I'd rather just have this guy.
The rest of the guys you're talking about are guys like, we talked about Penix, Nix, guys like that have had moments, but you're also talking about these are older guys. These are guys that are already the same age as Sam Howell, and Sam Howell's got NFL reps. So if you tell me that I'm going to get the same guy, I'll take my chances with the guy that's already got the reps.
Yeah, and then with Penix, like, you got to worry about him getting injured because that dude's got an injury list a mile long of ACLs that he's torn.
And if you're the Vikings, now that you know that Cousins isn't going to do it because you have the whole stipulation list that we've heard from Caleb Williams of who he will play for, you know that you're not trading Kirk Cousins. He's already denied waived his said he's not trading his waiving his no trade clause. But Lord, that was hard to say too. So you know he's there. At what point? I mean, you're going to play the 49ers this week. You're going to lose. We haven't got a game yet, but you're going to lose. Like, the 49ers are pissed. They're coming back and they're going to win. At what point are you looking at that and going, the best quarterback prospect to come out since Trevor Lawrence, and then before that, Andrew Luck, wants to play for us? He said it. And then you think about the fact that if you got him, you got him, Jet, Hawk, Addison, Osborne. We've both been very open that it's not Kirk Cousins. But Kirk Cousins doesn't run like Caleb Williams can run, and that changes the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
That one adjustment changes the entirety of the game. That makes up for the fact that the offensive line isn't going to have to be 5 stars. That makes up.
The offensive line
is
good.
not bad. No,
Yeah.
their running game is not good, but that makes up for that. It actually probably helps the running game because you have to fear the quarterback.
And shockingly, the defense shockingly steps up.
Tied for lead in snacks is Billy Hunter.
Yeah, I keep on going. oh, they're playing the Vikings. That defense is terrible.
Yeah.
And then you watch them, you're like, okay, so no one's going to be able to run on them? Like, and then you're like, oh, they'll pass on them. And then you're like, okay, so like, we're just not going to pass very well against them? Like,
yeah, the Vikings just, like, it's the weirdest 2-4 I've ever seen. Like,
it really is. Like,
and then you lose Jefferson, and you're like, all hope is lost.
And you know, last week I said that we were watching the final game. Of course, that was before he decided to say that he wasn't waiving his no trade clause. But if I'm the Vikings, man, I'm like, hey, if we get close to the trade deadline and we still have a losing record, and there's not a shot for us to.
If we're battling closer to the first pick or the playoffs, I'm playing for the pick. I'm
going, hey, what can we do to get you to waive this? Where would you like to go? Like, we want to give you.
We will
any
give
possible
us a list of things. Honestly, at that point, if he won't waive the no trade clause, you tell him what is our buyout, because we're not going to just sit you down because then we're clearly tanking.
Yeah.
But what do we have to pay you? We will pay you the remainder of your contract, cash money, right now, and release you.
Yeah.
And let you go to the market. Then anybody can have you. Or you can say, fuck it, I don't want to play this season, I'm going to relax and go play next season.
No, if they released him, he'd go straight to the waiver. So the first team that has waiver priority would take him.
True, it wouldn't work that way. So who would have? You'd have to trade me. I'm trying to look and see who would. Honestly, though, looking at the waiver, that approach, New England doesn't want him. You're not going to go out and pick him up. Why would you? He's a free agent at the end of the season. What good does it do? You're not going to win. You're not making the playoffs now at 1-5, not in the AFC. The Bears aren't going to go pick him up. I'm looking at the crappy teams that could claim him.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the teams that.
Let's look at
the Cardinals, they're not going to go pick him up.
Yeah, because Kyler Murray is coming back.
You got Kyler Murray coming back. Josh Dobbs hasn't played terrible. So your quarterback situation in Arizona looks significantly better than you thought it did. The Broncos can't make the playoffs at this point. But you paid Russell Wilson all that money. You're not going to go in and get Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Carolina. Yeah, Giants could.
Yes, but once again, you're not making the playoffs, and you got to pay him at the end of the season. And you just paid Danny Dimes all that money, and it's not like you can just get out of that contract right now.
So Green Bay, Chargers, Vikings, Titans could.
The Titans could because they might. Where are the Titans at record-wise? 2-4. I mean, you have to be a team that's borderline outside playoff shot.
I mean, you don't have to be. You could hope that you can just pick him up and he ends up changing everything for you, and you end up with a winning record and into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to be a team that has some kind of playoff hope to be even risk the time to pick him up.
What I could see is...
And when's the deadline?
Here's this. And we're talking about the deadline is week 8. So in two weeks. But a team that could possibly be there.
Deadline. Colts.
Just lost their quarterback because the Colts.
If the Colts, I will say, not that I want to, but if Gardner Minshew was struggling, I'm never going to say Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Gardner Minshew, no matter how much I love Gardner Minshew. Where is the date?
It's October 31st.
Yeah, so it's Halloween. Oh, what a treat. So, yeah, we're talking 12 days?
Yep.
So I would say that might be the only other team that I could say might be in better option, a position that could be the same thing, might be the Raiders. You're a 500 team right now. You got Jimmy Garoppolo down. You didn't pay Jimmy Garoppolo a ton of money. So technically you could go out and just say, sorry, Jimmy Garoppolo, you're the perennial backup guy. Like, that's your career.
Yeah. I don't think it'll come down. Well, I mean, if he's not going to waive the no trade clause, it's tough.
As I'm saying, if he's not going to waive the no trade clause, he's playing too good of football for you to get the number 1 pick. He will win you games by himself. We've never said that about Kirk Cousins in his entire fucking life. But we look at his MVP candidate numbers and acknowledge that.
He is one. He's Tony Romo.
Yes,
he is very underrated. People just don't like him, even though he's likable.
Yeah,
you just don't.
1,679 yards, 14 touchdowns, 4 picks.
And it's because of the contract that he got. It's that contract, that first one that was the big time, all that guaranteed money.
Yeah.
And that was where it started for people not to like him, going, oh, he's got to live up to that and take them to the Super Bowl. Yes, but that team just was, they never built it.
And that's the thing, and that's what you're like you just said. My problem with it is because someone got big money, they have to go to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl out of the question. You tell me that if your team, we just did Would You Rathers last week with Dak. Would you tell me that half the NFL would not want Kirk Cousins to be their quarterback for what he was making?
100%.
100%. Because his value of his contract has not been bad. Mm-hmm. He has performed to the dollar and then some consistently. Has he had some bad moments? Yes. Has he had more than good than bad? Absolutely. Just has. I don't.
He's a middle of the road, volatile type of quarterback.
Now we didn't do you said you didn't have time to fully prep one this week, but I could literally I'm gonna do that the rest of this week's game slate. I'm gonna would you rather him, and there's our would you rather. Our would you rather this week's gonna be Kirk Cousins, and we're gonna play it while we go through the game. So right now, real quick, we'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Jags, Trevor Lawrence, you're not getting rid of him. If you're the Saints, would you rather have Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
All right then. Dolphins and Eagles, they're not changing quarterbacks. You're taking Tua, you're taking Hurts, right? Or would you take Hurts or Kurt over
just
Tua?
Dropped all the way down to the 7 o'clock.
Oh, sorry, the Dolphin thing messes it up. It puts it to the top. Sorry, Sunday schedule changes. All right, so the Raiders and the Bears.
I would take him over Garoppolo. With Fields being hurt, I would take him over Baguette, but
yeah.
But
I would still take Fields, I'd say, because I don't think I'm in a win now situation. Yeah. But you think about Kirk Cousins going to the Raiders with Adams, Myers, Jones,
and then
Jacobs at running back,
Meyer.
Jacoby Meyer's been very good for them this season.
Mayer.
Yeah, the tight end. Like, the pieces are there to compete. The defense isn't the best, but like we've said, they're very Minnesota-like, where they're having moments where they can tell. In that same mold, you can say the Chiefs don't look unbeatable. Like, right now, the Chiefs' offense still is leaving something to be said. It's their defense that's kicking ass.
Yeah,
and they have Pat Mahomes, so when the playoffs comes, I'm not going to doubt him. But, like, there's
just not a lot on that offense to like other than Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. And, I mean, like, Check's had a couple decent games. Some of the receivers will show a moment. Rasheed Rice hasn't been bad. Rasheed Rice has actually played pretty well. I'd say he's been the best performing receiver on the team.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then we go back down. You're at the Colts and Broncos. Both these teams are playoff contending teams right now.
We're at the Colts and Browns?
Colts and Browns.
Yeah, I would take Kirk Cousins over Watson, even if Watson is
healthy. Deshaun Watson, I'm still taking Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I'm taking Kirk Cousins over a healthy Anthony Richardson if I want to win now.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirk's better than both those. Then you go to Bills, Patriots. Obviously, you're...
I'm definitely not taking him over Josh Allen, but Mac Jones, 100%.
Yeah. Roll down, we get to Washington and the Giants.
Yes.
We just said that we don't think Sam Howell has been bad, but Kirk Cousins going back to Washington with Dotson and McLaurin and all that, what's going on there? Robinson Jr. hasn't played bad football. Mm-hmm. You've got Gibson out of the backfield.
You got a good offensive line. I mean, other than Sam Howell taking too many sacks, you got a good offensive line.
But you wouldn't have that problem with Cousins because Cousins isn't even going to try to scramble a player live. He's going to go bam, bam, boom. Like, that's what it's going to be.
Yep.
Then you go to the Falcons and the Bucs. Same situation.
Yes.
Both playoff teams. These are both playoff contenders. Both of them would benefit from having Kirk Cousins. Lions and Ravens. No, you're taking both those quarterbacks.
Goff is playing way too good. Goff is one of the best quarterbacks as long as he's getting good blocking.
Yes.
Like, he is terrible if he doesn't have good blocking, but when he has good blocking, he's one of the top tier quarterbacks, and I would not take her of them.
With that said, I did skip a little bit here, so we're going to slide back, because before we got into the Kirk Cousins life discussions here, we were going through the game, so we'll keep doing that process. So Falcons Bucs, we didn't get to really talk on the game much. We'll come back to Kirk Cousins on as we get farther down.
Bijan.
I am shocked to say that the Falcons are actually getting a half point. So it's a 2.5-point Bucs favorite, but usually the home team gets 3. So Vegas is giving the Falcons kind of that the Bucs are going to win, but we think it'll be close treatment. I mean, Ritter looked better last week.
He's looked better every week.
Yes.
But it's still, like, I don't know.
Bijan himself, though, has not looked as good the last couple weeks.
No.
He has not looked like he did coming out the gate. I would say, I mean, take quarterbacks out of the question. Bijan probably hasn't been the best performing rookie that's not a quarterback. I would still think Puka's having a better season right now than what Bijan has.
Well, I mean, Puka's is going to be slowing down a lot, too, because of Cup.
It should start slowing down, yes. That first game back, Cup still had 15 catches and whatever, but Puka put up good numbers. Last week, I'll give him this. He still saw 9 targets. So they're still trying to get him the ball. They like the kid. So
Tutu definitely went down. I expected that.
I was going to say, that's the one I think that's going to really plummet is a Tutu out. And they traded, what's his name?
Van Jefferson to
the Falcons. So, which I guess the Falcons definitely could have used more receiving help, maybe. Put him out there on the outside.
He's a really good route runner.
Yeah.
So, like, he's going to be something safe for Ritter if they can get him out on the field, because last week he wasn't active. So he's still out there, learning this.
I will say the other funny thing about the Falcons, the kind of the unsung hero of that offense this season's been Jonnu Smith. Like, he's been very good for them.
He's been very good.
You almost forget how good he was before New England. Well, he was very good before New England.
The reason they brought him there was because of his blocking skills.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, Kyle Pitts is just, like, he's done a little bit better.
He scored a touchdown on American soil this week.
He did. He's a little bit better, but it's still not very good. It's still under Jonnu. Like, Jonnu is still outperforming him. So, it's
they're giving him all the short stuff. Jonnu's catching everything within 10 yards. You are seeing Pitts go down the field more, and I think that's why we said Ritter's looked a little better, is he started to work the ball more down the field. Yeah. So maybe we start seeing Pitts in London. London had a good game last week also. Yep. Kind of getting that ball rolling down the field. But I will say, I think you forget how good Jonnu Smith was before he went to New England. Like, there's a reason New England gave him a big money contract. Yeah. He disappeared. They brought him in and Hunter Henry, who were both very good football players for the Chargers and the Titans, right, for Jonnu?
Yeah.
Both very good football players, very productive for their teams, and they both went to New England, and it was like they were trying to bring back that Gronk Hernandez, and it didn't work. In any philosophy at all, it didn't work. And now they're trying to do it still in New England with Hunter Henry and Gesicki, and Gesicki's less active there than he was in Miami.
Yep.
So, all right, so I'll say I'm going to say, though, I still think the Bucs can win it.
I do, too, because Baker has done really well.
He has.
Like, for whatever strange reason, Baker has just found his rhythm, and he's not losing you games. Like, he's doing good enough to just be there.
It's 5-0 middle of the fourth now, by the way. Scherzer just struck out Maldonado.
But and then Detroit and Baltimore. Obviously, I would not take Kirk Cousins over either one of these.
We're keeping both these quarterbacks.
This is going to be a good one. Baltimore's defense has been a little bit better over the last 2 weeks, but they're still not fully healthy, and Detroit is just
it's a fine-tuned machine right now.
Yeah.
Would you ever have thought in your life?
They are a fine-tuned machine.
Really good drop with it being Motor City.
For Motor City, yeah.
Would you ever have thought in your life, though, that you were going to say Jared Goff MVP candidate? 1,618
Not
yards?
after his last 2 years in
Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
I don't think that I'd ever, even as he came out, I don't think that you looked at him, and I don't ever think at any point I looked at him in LA, though, and thought, that kid's got MVP potential. Like, he's always going to be, I kind of thought he'd be Kirk Cousins. Like, he'd always just be a pretty good quarterback that no one gave enough credit to.
He was the number 1 pick.
True. That's where he gets a little more expectation.
MVP expectations to him.
But I'll say he's killed it. He's looked really good. Montgomery's should be coming back. I think they think he's going to play. I think they might get Gibbs back. Also, he's battling with the hamstring. They've been dealing with injuries.
I don't think Montgomery's going to be coming back yet.
You don't think so? Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, then they better hope they get Gibbs back. St. Brown came back from the injury last week and went off. Had a great game. You got Josh Reynolds. You added Jamison Williams, who's kind of got to get up to speed still. I mean, the thought of what they've dealt with on the injury side of their skill position players to still go out there and win football games, like Craig Reynolds is was kind of the guy last week.
Yeah.
Because of all the injuries. So
crazy enough.
Yeah.
Like,
the guy that they literally picked.
If
you watched Hard Knocks, Craig Reynolds got all the love because he's literally the football playing version of what Dan Campbell was. He's that grit, grunt, dirty work guy. And now he's the starting running back for a couple more weeks.
Oh, no, well, he's questionable to play. Okay, so
Montgomery is?
Yeah.
Okay. So that does our morning slate. So now we go into the afternoon slate. So first kickoff in the afternoon is going to be that Steelers versus Rams game. All right. So Steelers Rams. You're keeping Stafford, I'm assuming, right?
Steelers and Rams.
Our first would you rather is going to go. Are you going to keep Stafford on them?
That one's tough because Stafford is. Yeah, I'd keep Stafford. Yeah, because Stafford is.
Stafford hasn't played bad, and I would say that the rapport, you're not going to be able to thrust in Cousins and have the chemistry that he has with Kupp and even Puka at this point.
Right,
and that's going to help him win
with
games. Tutu Atwell.
Or the head coach.
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So now the Steelers.
Yes.
The Steelers, if you're still in contention as you're sitting at 3-2, because all the Steelers do is finish above 500. So,
I mean, first, what I would do is I would trade for Kirk Cousins, and part of that trade
would be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
like you know how
we
saw the Raiders give up a first-round pick to get Sean McPayton. What if the Vikings were like, you can have Cousins and our OC. We'll take Canada, but you've got to give us 2 firsts because we're going to have a terrible offensive coordinator. But Canada would be successful in getting them the first pick.
Yeah.
So there's the trade. You just need to trade your OC and your quarterback and take back a bad OC, and you're going to get the first pick Caleb Williams, and it's all okay.
At the end of the year.
Yeah, perfect strategy. That said, Steelers-Rams at SoFi Stadium. I don't see SoFi as any kind of home field advantage for any team that calls it home. The Rams get a little more home field advantage than the Chargers
do. Yeah.
But my problem, the thing is with the Steelers is that, besides play calling, I don't think that, now they're about to get, it looks like they'll get, what's his kid back? Receiver that's been hurt, pulled his hamstring. One that has some drops problems, but also catches it.
Deontay.
Yeah, they'll get Deontay Johnson back, so that'll help. But I got to be honest, after Deontay Johnson, Jalen Warren's decent.
Yeah.
Jalen Warren's a decent player, but
Not
I don't think Najee Harris fell off cliff faster than Zeke Elliott.
Yeah.
That same style of play, and he just plummeted after a year. George Pickens can't do it all by himself. Like, Freiermuth's been kind of non-existent this season.
Well, he's been hurt.
Yeah, true. He's been banged up some. So as much as
you also drafted 6'8", 280-pound tight end Darnell Washington, who was a freak and haven't really done
anything with him, which that kind of goes into the offensive coordinator that doesn't know how to play with his toys. But I will say that maybe we overhyped Pickett's weapons around him. Like, I think people thought Pickett's going to take the step because they put all these pieces around him, but especially once you lose Deontay Johnson, like, it's really just George Pickens. He's only having the upside.
Yes. But Deontay Johnson was a dropper last year, so it wasn't like
you'd have thought of him as a 5-end.
Yeah, like he's a high-end receiver, but at the same time, you don't really trust him that much.
No,
the biggest thing that it does is it helps in coverage, but other than that, like, I don't know how much I would just like trust him just because. Not 9 times out of 10, but about half the time he's probably going to drop it.
True, but you at least get to look, at least on the defensive side of the ball, for what Pickett has to look at, you have to give him attention because he's utilized highly in their offense.
Yes.
Right now, the Steelers go out to play and you're not worried about Najee, so you really don't even play the run when he gets the ball because he has no burst. Like, you're not playing the run. You can sit back in a pass coverage on Najee because you feel like you can close down and still keep him to only a 3-yard run. So really, you're doing a lot of bracketing to the Pickens side, and it kind of hurts what Pickens is because Pickens has all the talent in the world to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Gifted. We've seen he has possibly some of the best hands in football. But you can't just force him the ball because there's two guys over there every play because he's the only guy you got to worry about.
They do it to Jetta.
Yes, but Jetta's also a better route runner.
Faster.
Pickens plays a lot. Pickens is very AJ Green-like, where AJ Green could run some of the routes, but a lot of AJ Green he was stupidly athletic for the first 9 years of his career, and so after that he slowed down. That's why the window for Dez Bryant. The window for Pickens is Dez Bryant. You need him to be an athlete. You've got till he turns 28.
Well,
he's 22 now.
So Dez Bryant had multiple injuries.
Well, true.
That took away his athleticism, which was his A1 thing.
Exactly.
Once that athleticism went away, all of a sudden he was just an average receiver.
Yeah.
And
that's,
if you can't get open as an average receiver, you're really not that good.
And that's why I hate we're at the 3-yard line fade to the end zone unless you have like Dez Bryant. Like I love that play to Dez. Dez was the king of that route. Him, guy like T.O., those 6'2", 6'3" guys that can just jump Moss.
Yeah.
Pickens, I feel like could be one of those guys. Like
100%.
He has the ability
he has
to
that,
go get it right here. OBJ early on, he was that guy. Jamar Chase is that kind of guy. Like there's guys that can. T. Higgins, more so because of the 6'5" frame. We've seen Jefferson jump up and do it in the crowd of people. Like I don't want to throw a jump ball up like that to Cooper Kupp. I don't want to throw a jump. I'm just being honest. Like I don't want to throw a jump ball up like that to CeeDee Lamb. Like we've talked about these guys. I think I could do that with Pickens, but I can't do it when he's being draped on by two guys because he's the only thing in your offense really that you can see as a player.
That is true. That is true.
As much as it sucks because you as a quarterback you've only got so long to show it you're going to be the guy.
And who's the other guy that's over there?
Allen Robinson, who was washed.
He was washed with the Rams. Calvin Austin. I think that's who it is.
Yeah, he's looked decent at times, but it hasn't. So, I'm going to take the Rams there. I think that division. I mean, even especially since we're going to the next game. The next game is going to be the Seahawks and the Cardinals. I might be controversial here, but we've already said Kirk Cousins to the Cardinals we wouldn't do because the Kyler Murray deal and all that. I'm taking Kurt over Geno.
I would too. Geno was good because of the offensive line is good, the running game is good, and he's got good receivers. Like he's set up to succeed.
Yes.
I'm not going to say any quarterback, but any average quarterback with a good arm is going to succeed in that offense.
Yes.
Because it's set up to protect you perfectly.
Yes. I will say that.
But if you
Geno
keep
is
having
like the baseline of an average
outbursts where he's just punching people, we're going to have a problem there.
Geno is like
no, we're going to have a good situation because that just means JSN gets more playing time.
Also true. Geno's like that median line for probably average.
Yes.
Like I would say he's quarterbacks 15, 16, 17. Like that's that line. I will almost say that if you give me any quarterback 3 spots ahead of him, I still think we're better, so I think you are a chance to win. I think you give me any quarterback from number 11 up, and the Seahawks are a Super Bowl contender. Like, beyond what we already have said that we think they are capable of being with that defense and the pieces on that team. I think Kirk Cousins is that good of a quarterback and how good he's playing right now. If you put Kirk Cousins in Seattle, especially after watching watching 49ers just show that they can be beat by P.J. Walker, I think the Seattle Seahawks are the best team in their division.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
So
100%. That team is good.
Everything around that Seahawks team is ready to win a football game right now. Exactly. Like, if Kirk Cousins was willing to waive it and you're the Seahawks, you're missing the opportunity if you don't make a phone call. You're not gonna because you just paid Geno Smith a contract, but it wasn't an uncuttable contract.
Right.
So I'd say that I think you are being short-sighted if you don't look at it and say we can win a fucking Super Bowl.
Knowing Pete Carroll, probably do it.
I mean, that said, Pete Carroll he kind of would, and I'd love it. I think it would be a great fit.
I don't know if he would actually do it just because he has Geno.
Yes.
And Geno hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been great.
Yes. he's been okay to good, and
So
that's
that would
what
be the
Russ
only
was
thing
when they
drawing.
won Super Bowls, was
Yeah.
okay to good.
Yeah.
And he thinks he can win with that, and that's the scary part. So, that said, Seahawks beat the Cardinals. The Seahawks are progressively looking like the team we thought they would each week, outside of some issues on the offensive side.
And the Cardinals are going to what is the line on this?
It is a 8-point Seattle spread.
Okay,
In
I'm going to
Seattle.
take the Cardinals in that because the Cardinals keep every single game close.
They do that.
Because for some reason, they're not. I don't expect them to win, but for some reason, they stay in every single game.
Especially division games.
It reminds me of who was it a few years ago? It was the Lions. The Lions. They
2 years
were
ago, the Lions lost every game in one possession games.
2-win team that you've ever seen because they just couldn't finish it. Like, they were there in every single game, but had a losing record. And you're going, dang, they suck.
That was the first. That was the first off year.
They just couldn't get over that one little hump to win the game. Like, they were good. Like, Cardinals, for some crazy reason, with a depleted roster, backup quarterback. Now James Conner's out, so now you got Keontae Ingram and
Don't even ask me how to say that guy's name.
The other guy,
Emiliano Cagado. Yeah.
So you have all these guys, and they're still in the game no matter what.
Yeah.
And the defense, you're looking at it going, there's no star here anymore, but they're still performing. So, it's crazy. So I would honestly, I know Seattle's going to win it, but if I'm putting money on it, I'm putting money on Arizona covering. Because they just, for whatever reason, will always be there.
Yeah. So,
and I would take Kirk Cousins over Kyler Murray, honestly.
I would too because of the attitude and the drama, but I wouldn't do it in a situation where I was 1-5. I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to give up assets. That's why I said I would take him for Seattle because I kind of win. Now we roll into the 325 game. Well, this one's a fun one because one team's likely eliminated and one team's on the border because the NFC's kind of in a little bit of a shamble. You got Packers-Broncos. Broncos first and foremost. We've discussed the fact that Russell Wilson's played better this season than last season.
Yeah.
But it's that same situation where you did pay him pretty well.
This is what it comes down to with Russell Wilson. Like, when you look at his stats, you go, he's not playing bad.
Garbage times.
But when you tack on what he's getting paid, you're like, you can't be playing like that. You have to be playing at another level. You cannot be down here and getting paid like that.
You can't get paid what he's getting paid and lose 70-20.
That too.
Listen, he's not playing defense. I understand that. But at some point, he's got to go, no, fuck that. We're hanging 40. Like, if you lose 70-40, that still sucks. But, God, you tried.
I don't know if it's the offense or whatever, but Russell Wilson does look kind of cooked. There was a point when he was with Seattle where you wanted Russ to cook.
Yes.
But now it kind of looks
point.
like he can't cook anymore.
Yeah.
And he's reached.
You need him a sous chef.
He's plateaued and we're seeing the decline. And last year was a low point just because the offense, Hackett, I don't care about the record right now. Hackett was terrible. Sean McVay is doing a better job than Hackett was. I don't care what the record is. They're putting up more points this year. Like, they're doing better, but
yeah, the offense.
Russell Wilson is just not what Carr and whoever else I said that earlier. They're just, you were expecting more out of them.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to see maybe the game has passed him. And he's on that slow decline.
He's 34 now.
But you can't get rid of him until 2024. Same as Dak. Like Cowboys. And Dak played a good game last week. They're not playing this week. We made that whole thing about would you rather with Dak, and he goes out and performs really well.
He did have a very good week. He was the top performing quarterback in Pro Football.
Ran for a touchdown. Like, that's the one thing that has been missing from him since his injury is actually moving.
Which was well talked about by us last week.
Yeah.
The fact that he, as a champion of mental health, has not taken care of what seems to be a genuine fear of running the ball.
And then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. Like, if he can say that, we're going to redo that list and go back over it again, because if he can get past that hump in his mind to where he needs to move, like, that changes who he is 100%, because we judge that on the fact that he's just done running the ball. So if he can actually open that back up into what he can do into his repertoire, that changes a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it definitely helps. Like I said, it opens up his game. It opens up things. There's still the accuracy issues. Like, that's not going to change. There's still the clear-cut fact that it doesn't look like his coach trusts him.
No.
At all. Like, that's a part of the problem going to be there, too.
But yeah, it's that situation with Russell Wilson, you can't get rid of him until 2024, because that dead cap, I don't care if you want to get rid of him, like, bench him. You can't cut him. You can't. Because his dead cap is $84 million next year.
Yeah.
84.
And you're not playing for Caleb Williams.
Cut him.
Well, you know what, though? Technically, you take his dead cap hit, you suck awful, and you just move old boy from Boulder down to Denver, and now Shadur's the Broncos quarterback, and his daddy's down the road, so...
Well, daddy wants him to play for Atlanta.
Well, that's true.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it is crazy. Denver's just going to have to deal with Russell Wilson for the rest of this season and next season, because you're not getting out of that contract until the end of next season. So you're just going to have to suck it up. Then you go over to Green Bay with Jordan Love, who hasn't looked terrible, hasn't looked amazing.
Yeah, there's been highs and lows. It's been very peak and valleys.
It's his first year, so I'm going to give him a little bit on this, just because he's finally got the reins. He didn't take the reins away that Aaron Rodgers did from Brett Favre, but
he's still young.
He's still young.
Jordan Love's only 24.
And he didn't have a lot of the college playing time that Aaron Rodgers did either. So it's kind of one of those things where he learned behind him, but now he's finally getting that game rep. And I think next year is really going to be where we see who he's going to be, because this is not really a trial run, but this is just that free subscription that you're getting. Like, this year is that free subscription, and then next year you're going to subscribe to that following year.
Yeah. Because
you're hoping that's going to be it. Then you're going, we'll go with 10-year.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can call out with Jordan Love would be, actually it's more on the Aaron Rodgers thought is that there was always the rumors that while Rodgers was with Green Bay, that he didn't take any time to work with Love. He didn't take any time to work with the young kids. As we watch Zach Wilson play significantly better this season than he did last season, Zach Wilson still sucks, but he's still significantly better this season than last season. Teams that would take Kirk Cousins, Zach Wilson, or the Jets.
Yeah.
But
no, they wouldn't.
Oh, you're right, because of how Rodgers and all that stuff plays out. Even I'd still take him for this year. But point of the story, you take that. You look at that and you realize that maybe Rodgers was a little more involved in helping the team than people gave him credit for. The end of the time with the Packers, he just wanted out. Like, he was ready to do something different. I don't know that he liked their coach.
There was a different quarterback that I think he worked with a little bit more than he did Love. It was the third string quarterback that actually, well, it was the second string because Love was the third string. I forgot his name, but Rodgers, I think, worked with him a lot more than he actually did with Love. So, maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Maybe Rodgers has an eye for talent.
And Jets aren't playing this week either.
No.
That's something else that's, I think, is very important, is the games that Aaron Rodgers has been to, Zach Wilson's done better.
And he doesn't he wear a headset when he's there? Like,
I think he's
there.
Yeah. I think he's trying to show off for Big Brother, to prove to Big Brother that he can do it. When he's not there, he's not performing as well, because
How much of it do you wonder is Aaron Rodgers saying, because he's already out of the walking boot. Do I think he'll play football this season? No. Did we see Cam Akers come back in 6 weeks from the 6 months from the same injury though? Yes. Technically, the math falls that if he came back at the exact same pace as Cam Akers, he would be back during the bye week prior to the Super Bowl.
So it was against the Patriots where he did
Josh Young, 2-run home run, 5-2.
There we go.
Hell yeah.
There we go. It was against the Patriots where Zach Wilson really struggled, and that was it was the Chiefs game where Aaron Rodgers first showed up. So he's been there the last 3 weeks. Yeah, but it was But against the Patriots without Aaron Rodgers there, it was you were like, ooh, like this is kind of rough. And then once Aaron Rodgers showed up, all of a sudden you're like, Wilson looks like he's actually playing a little bit better. So I don't know if he's in contact with Rodgers during the game, but having him there before, being able to talk to him,
he's
being
on
able
the
to talk to him
sideline
at halftime.
At the game, he might not be in his ear, but on the sideline, you've seen him.
So you get that, and I think that's what's helping him is he's got Big Brother there to help him,
which is good.
And it's given him a lot more confidence.
Well, good for the kid. I mean, I'm still not a huge Zach Wilson guy, but it's still.
Hours, dude. Yeah.
All right, so then we go down technically, there's 3 games left here. The next one's going to be Chargers-Chiefs, last afternoon game. That's at 3:25 kickoff. Obviously, both teams were keeping their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Both of them are young. Both have got their things. There are some flaws in Herbert's game. Kind of being noticed this year.
We'll go ahead and say this. None of the other ones.
None of the remaining.
Yeah, so
that would be
the Kirk Cousins thing is over with. We won't be taking.
Once y'all hear the games, you'll know. Yeah. So So Chargers Chiefs though, I still think the Chiefs handle it though. The Chargers have flaws, and the first one's Staley.
And the second one is the defense.
Yes, the defense has
actually. Tuli Tuipulotu, whatever his name is, he's looked shockingly good. Like he was a 3rd or 4th rounder. Yeah. He was a guy that I remember reading about, and I was just a lot of people had him in the 2nd round or something. And I was like, I don't see that. And then, right now he's doing really well for them.
Yeah,
like he's one of their better defensive players.
Yeah. I still think in Arrowhead, Chiefs probably take care of business here. I don't think there's too much discussion.
Tuipulotu.
Okay. Kind of reminds me was it Tuiasosopo? He used to play for the
Marquise Tuiasosopo.
Yeah, there was a few of them. There was one that played for the Seahawks too. That was something similar like that.
It was Marquise Tuiasosopo.
Was it Marquise?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what his first name was. All right, so then this is the nightcap game. This is why we said we're not getting Kirk Cousins anymore. You have the Dolphins in Philadelphia.
You got the Battle of Alabama.
Yeah, Battle of Alabama. If you're Jalen Hurts, you stick the middle finger to Alabama because you realize that Oklahoma is what got you to the NFL. Alabama to Jalen Hurts is no, not really, because Jalen Hurts played a lot at Alabama. I was gonna say it was Joe Burrow at Ohio State and LSU, but Joe Burrow didn't ever really play at Ohio State. So that said, that's gonna be a damn good football game. And I told my wife I might have to play sick and not go to softball that night.
I don't blame you. And what's the line on this one?
It is a 2.5 point Philadelphia, which means that they are giving the half point to the road dog. Okay. That also said that over under at 51.5.
Woo!
That tells me that they think the Eagles defense is good, but it ain't the Dolphins offense good.
I'm going to go ahead and say Miami wins this. Jalen Hurts, I mean, AJ Brown has looked good.
Yes.
Devonta has looked okay.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts has not looked that great.
Swift has looked fantastic.
Other than the brotherly shove, like Hurts really hasn't looked like last year. Yeah, he hasn't looked like last year. So going up against Miami's defense isn't really
the best. But we did open the practice window this week for Jalen Ramsey.
So that
is ahead of schedule.
That would be good.
Because that moves Xavier Howard to covering your 2nd best receiver. Because Jalen Ramsey would be covering your 1.
Oh yeah. And then with Philadelphia, their cornerbacks are banged up.
And they ain't running with Tyreek Hill.
Like the only thing that's really going to do anything is the rookie defensive lineman. He's something else, man. Like
and the offensive line for the Dolphins is, though we have done better than I would have expected, it's still not a platinum 5-star level offensive line. Teron Armstead's still hurt.
Someone just made a great catch.
Did they? I missed it.
I just got a notification that said what a catch.
But we'll have to get a replay on it because it would have had to have been Astro because they are up to hit now. So, I will say that my one concern would be that, did he just hit a bomb? He robbed it. Oh my God, he robbed that bitch. That must be the great catch.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
We are just a tad behind on what's going on.
Wow. Leody Taveras just brought one back in dead center field from Jordan Alvarez. Oh my God. Woo! All right.
Nice.
Back to it here. So my concern with this game is going to come down to this. The Dolphins have struggled against mobile quarterbacks. Josh Allen eats us up and then goes and plays bad against lesser teams. So Hurts having the ability that he has to get open and run, that also opens up their running game. Another thing that the Dolphins have been hit or miss at this year, and DeAndre Swift has been one of the best backs in the league this season. Those are my kind of concerns there. Like you said, our corner play isn't the best, so that could help A.J. Brown and guys. I'm betting the over if I'm putting a bet. I think we're going to see a high-scoring game because even healthy, I don't think the Eagles can keep up with the pace of my Dolphins defense or offense. Our weapons are just that fast. I mean, Darius Slay would be the guy that's going to travel the field with, if healthy.
I wouldn't say Swift has been that great.
86 carries for 452 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, against Minnesota he had 175 and Tampa Bay had 130.
Oh, that's true. That's most of it.
So,
but week 1 he saw minimum touches.
1 carry for 3 yards.
Yeah.
But Washington, he had 14 carries for 56. Against the Rams, 17 for 70. And then last week against the Jets, 10 for 18.
Yeah. Okay.
So he had 2 really massive games.
He's had a couple of big boom
and
games.
Then scratching week 1, like he's had the 2 massive games and then 2 normal kind of average games, and then last
just
week
one
against the Jets.
Real stinker against the Jets.
So I mean, what is Miami's run defense like?
Average at best. Average to below average based off watching the team perform.
Let's go to running.
I don't know their rank would be.
Yeah. Swift.
I know we got absolutely tortured week 1 on the ground, but then New England didn't run very well against us. But New England hasn't done much of anything.
All right.
And we're out Devon Aching for 4 weeks.
They are middle of the road.
Yeah.
So Miami is 15th against running backs.
So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be an offensive football game, though. Every time we say that, though, every time we watch a football game and expect it to be high scoring, it ends up being a snooze or a great defensive game. Like it's that weird thing that happens. I would say that it comes down to what defense makes us stop, because I think it's going to be I'm not going to say we're looking at the Mexico version of the Chiefs and the Rams a few years ago. That was like 51-50, but
right.
I would say first team to 38 wins it.
I mean, I don't see who's going to be able to stop Tyreek.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody. I don't care how healthy Darius Slay is. Once Tyreek Hill starts running, he's 3 steps faster than Darius Slay on his best day at this age.
News on Darius Slay injury report is lengthy, but Darius Slay says he's progressing ahead of the Dolphins game.
Okay, so then that's fine. But even on the other side, you go with Bradford, right?
Yeah.
He's not running with Waddle. Like, I just don't think they can physically keep up with the pace of our speed. Oh my goodness, what a catch. They're showing the replay.
Are they?
Well, reading the ball. Played it great.
Hold on. What's his name?
Bradford?
It is Bradbury.
James Bradbury.
Because I looked it up and I was like, that's not it.
I would like to say I'd like to take the Dolphins, but with it being a home game for the Eagles, I think it's going to, like I said, offensive pass.
Okay, so Bradbury. Okay, yeah. Bradbury's good. James Bradbury placed in concussion protocol ahead of Vikings game.
Okay.
So I guess Bradbury might still be in concussion protocol.
Okay, so if he gets out, I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be a great freaking game, though. It'll be one of those ones that I've done plenty of times where I hold my phone right here and I play the outfield while I watch football. And then I drop my phone on the ground, I run and catch a fly ball, I throw it back in, and then I pick my phone back up. Because it's the last week of the season, and my wife isn't going to let me miss the last week. So, but that'll be a fun one. I didn't check our game times. Who knows? Maybe we have the early ones. I don't miss any of it. So, so you take the Dolphins, though, you said?
I'm taking the Dolphins.
Okay. So then we come down, last game of the week. We've kind of already talked about who's going to win this one, but it's the 49ers and the Vikings. We've tried to trade Kirk Cousins to half the league.
Yeah.
49ers are going to steamroll the Vikings, I think. They're going to go into Minnesota pissed off, and they're going to... This spread 7, I'm going to say 14.
I think
everyone's hurt.
Is probably going to go off. The only thing that I can see...
no McCaffrey potentially being a problem.
Yeah.
And no Debo, because he might be out also.
So McCaffrey is dealing with the ab thing. They did come out and say that he is avoided serious injury, but it still could be a week off.
I would give him the week off anyway.
Yeah.
At 5-1,
I mean,
you're a game
why
off on
did
the
you
division.
even let him go in the first place, knowing he had an injury like that?
Yeah, knowing that there was even kind of an injury, that didn't make any sense to me.
That he's trying to work through to get back in. Like, if you see him on the sideline working that hard with an abdominal issue, like, I'm going, nah, bro, nah.
The only thing I think is that you did it because it's a close game and you want to win. But it's sitting, like I said, sitting at 5-1 right now. Jordan Mason, isn't that his name, the rookie?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't looked bad. You've still got Elijah Mitchell that hasn't really seen much run this year. The crazy part is preseason, the whole report on McCaffrey was basically that he was going to get that NBA veteran treatment, that load management. And we haven't seen that.
Uh-huh.
They've rode him like a dog. So in my opinion, you sit his ass. I don't care if he's. I don't care if he's 90%.
You need to.
Yeah, I don't care if he's 90%. You say, look, we have a bigger goal than this. Even if the 49ers won the wild card, they're a Super Bowl favorite in a NFC West or NFC in general.
Yeah,
probably. So you sit him down. You go out there with Mason, and then I'm in the same boat with Debo. You say, okay, Jennings, step up this week. We're gonna roll out with you and Brandon Ayuk. I'm not pushing the envelope on any of my star players when I already have a whole one-game lead on the division. And you own Seattle. You've owned them for 2 years now. So even if you get into a situation where you're playing Seattle for the division, you have to be confident you're going to kick their ass.
Yeah. Ayuk's progression
He's so good.
it's crazy. Because remember, what was it, 2 years ago, where he was getting benched?
Yes, consistently. Hell, wasn't it last season, start of the year, they benched him for like a few games?
Maybe it was last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Last year, there was some time where you're like, this is Ayuk's year. First game, not good. Second game, barely played. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I guess we all... And then literally, he was the most dropped player, I think, in fantasy football last year, week 3. And then week 5, he was the most claimed player because it was like, wait a second. He played good again. And then before you know it, he's the best. He's looking like the best receiver on the damn team.
And right now, as good as Debo is playing, Ayuk has played and this year up to getting his contract. I think Ayuk is just a better receiver.
Oh, I've said that on here before. I think that Debo Samuel is the Ferrari version of Cordell Patterson. Like, Cordell Patterson created that weird thing.
Did you see what C.J. Gardner-Johnson? You're just a running back.
To Debo? I'm not saying he's just a running back, but he's at his best. He's a get the ball in his hands guy. Tell me when we've ever
now that
seen...
you have McCaffrey, like, it's kind of taking a back seat. And now the game that you could use him, because you may not have McCaffrey, you may not have him either.
And that's why, and you look at Debo Samuel and his play style, and as long as he's now been in the league, 5-6 years or whatever it is, tell me when we watch Debo outside of a slant win the route that led to the big play.
That's true.
It's 7-yard stops where he makes someone tackle miss. It's quick slants where he booms. It's not a 25-yard post down the field where he drops a ball in the bucket. It's not down the sideline making a spectacular catch. I'm not throwing a jump ball to Deebo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving Deebo Samuel a quick wide receiver screen and letting him run somebody over with them quads and calfzillas that he's got going on down there in the lower body.
Very, very Laviska Shenault.
Yes, he is, which Visca's probably right under. Actually, at this point in their career, he's probably pretty much what Cordell Patterson is, because Visca was actually playing decent before he got hurt last week.
Yeah.
So I would say they're about that level because of age and explosiveness that Cordell has lost. But that's what Deebo is. He's the better version of those guys. It's just that we don't see Deebo necessarily as that guy because he's been used outside more consistently. He's still on the field every play. Cordell Patterson, Tyson Hill, those guys aren't on the field every play.
Right. Yeah.
So
especially now, like, it's funny with how well Cordell Patterson did last year, and then Falcons are like, ooh, Bijan.
I think they
Sorry,
start.
bro.
I think you start seeing the. It looks, and when you factor how good Cordell Patterson and how good Tyler Algier looked itself.
Yeah.
That did kind of make the Bijan pick not make a lot of sense, just looking at it, the draft. But I think you still see the little time that you have watched Cordell. Cordell hasn't played much this season. I think he's played like 2 snaps.
Yeah,
he's the candidate to get traded to most teams. But even when he was seeing some playing time in the preseason, you could see that lack of burst. I don't think he's even returning kicks still, is he?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like that was what was going to make him a potential Hall of Famer, was his ability to return kicks and punts. Like
Cordell Patterson. Let's look that up. Patterson.
I'm gonna go right here to the Falcons.
Snap.
I'm gonna go to the roster. Cordell Patterson, number 84, stats.
So
He is only actually suited up for 3 games, and he has 1 carry. And he's got 2 catches this season.
36% is how much he's played this season.
Yeah, he's played in 3 of the games. He's got 2 catches for 13 yards. His longest yard is 7 yards. And then returning, he has 2 attempts for 35 yards on kickoffs, and he's fair caught. Actually, he's not returning punts, it doesn't like. Yeah, he's not even returning punts. It just says kickoffs.
I lied about that.
What'd you lie about?
He has played 3.82% of the snaps.
Yeah, he's only played he's played 5 snaps.
16
snaps, yeah.
16 total snaps.
Yeah, he's a non-factor in their offense. He will not be.
He's played 17 on special teams.
And you know what's crazy is if you look at his career, I'd never thought that he was the model of health. In Minnesota, 16 games, 16 games, 16 games, 16 games, 16 games, 15 in New England, 16 in Chicago, 16 in Chicago, 16 in Atlanta, and then last year is the first year that he actually missed time consistently for a decent couple of games. 3 games out of 17, or 4 out of 17. And then in 2023, this year, he's missed 3 games already because of not playing. Like, he's
crazy.
It's not health. He's played, and he's playing time. You know, his career as a returner is 7,800 yards, 9 touchdowns as a returner just in kickoffs. I thought he did more with punts in his career, but he really hasn't. He's always just been a kickoffs guy in a league that doesn't return kickoffs anymore. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
So, but he'll probably get traded.
It's very likely.
I don't know who he helps at this point in his career. I don't know what he even does to help anybody.
Just get him off your roster.
Dallas,
give him in a 7th, and you'll get a 6th back. The way a bunch of these trades have been going here recently.
Yeah, teams that are just, you get the cap off. I mean, you could think of some teams that, like I said, Dallas could use another playmaker out of the backfield possibly.
Yeah.
Outside of Pollard, you haven't seen anybody else step up to say they're the second guy.
I wouldn't even want him, to be honest. Like, you need someone that's a little bit more stronger.
Yeah.
Because you just... There's no goal line presence that
when
matters.
Roschon and Herbert are both healthy, if I'm Dallas, it would be nice to call the Bears.
For Roschon?
No, you're not getting Roschon because he's a rookie. I'm talking about you call the Bears for Foreman.
Oh, you know what? Yeah.
If you could get Foreman for the Bears, you now make Tony Pollard the 20 to 20s guy, and Foreman is the 20 to goal line guy.
And that makes your offense better.
Foreman has yet to play bad football when he's on the field.
Yeah.
Like, he's always played a pretty decent football player. Like, he's the poor man Derrick Henry. That's what he is.
Well, he came in for Derrick Henry and rumbled
exactly,
all over
and he
people.
rumbled for Derrick Henry. So I would say that he's a guy to look at. So, that really covers the NFL, though. Kind of time stamping wise, we're gonna look okay. Yeah, so we'll go on just to touch on some other things. We've got NBA season tips off Tuesday. We will not film the next 2 weeks, so we just want to make sure we kind of call it out. The season will get started. We've got the James Harden drama still going on.
Yeah,
we've got
he's
the
in
new
Houston right now.
Yeah, there's the new. He skipped practice the other day. Now there's this crazy. You want to hear this crazy 6-team trade they're proposing? A 6-team trade involving James Harden. The Sixers get back Terrence Mann, Robert Covington, Kyle Lowry, and a protected 28 first-round pick from the Clippers. So that's what the Sixers get. A bunch of role players to help them win and get rid of the headache. The Miami Heat get Malcolm Brogdon, guy that could help Miami, and Jonathan Isaac, a kid who in Orlando has just been injured. He's not bad. He's always hurt. It's tough break kind of kid. The Knicks get Marcus Morris Sr. to relieve some cap space for the Clippers. The Magic get Evan Fournier, Amir Coffey, and a first-round pick. So you're getting a first-round pick to give away nothing, and Evan Fournier will give you a veteran presence.
Okay.
The Trailblazers get Duncan Robinson, Daniel House Jr., and a protected first. So if you're the Blazers, you just find a way to keep getting better. Because Duncan Robinson just gives you more shooting on a team that low-key is getting pretty good from these trades. They're not going to win. But yeah, they're getting better. And then you look at the Clippers, and the Clippers are saying we're going all in. They're getting James Harden, PJ Tucker. You've got Kawhi. You've got Russell Westbrook. And you've got Paul George. Like, you're not bad. You're old. And you're not explosive.
Yeah.
Russ is still probably your most explosive basketball player, and he's lost a step. We all know that. But the idea of starting out a team that starts with, you probably initiate your offense between James Harden and Russ a lot of the time. You're taking pressure of Kawhi doesn't have to be on the ball all the time.
He doesn't have to be on the floor.
Paul George, another guy that when he's on the floor doesn't want to be on the ball a lot. Like, your issue is going to be rebounding, and you've got Ivan Zubac. It's just what can after that happen. So I'm not a huge fan of the Clippers. Mostly because I'm not a huge Kawhi Leonard fan, but not a bad team. You get anything? James Harden's a team wrecker, though. Can we continue to shout out? This is another Oklahoma City drop here. When are we going to give Russ his due?
Never.
Everyone blamed Russ. It was all Russ's fault. Not saying for his skill. Everyone blamed Russ for all the problems in Oklahoma. We've now watched James Harden and Kevin Durant blow up 3 teams. Each. When are we going to come back and say, you know what? Russ wasn't the problem. Russ is not the reason they didn't get a championship.
Who's really saying that Russ was the problem?
It's always been that. The minute Durant went to Golden State, the reason it was a big deal is that it was Durant that was like, oh, I just didn't get along with Russ. Our styles didn't clash. And then that's why Russ literally did not speak to Durant for 2 years before he finally squashed the bug. Because of the stuff that, the way he felt it was handled. And then James Harden left, and it wasn't, James Harden left because the organization, it was right before the contracts are where they are now. James Harden left and the elite team was like, honestly, we can't pay you to be a starter, and you're ready to be a starter.
Yeah.
So we'll trade you to Houston and get back what we can. Nothing you can do there. That's just shit timing. There was never a problem with James Harden and any of those guys. But the whole situation between, a double off the wall or a single? No, double for Evan Carter over to right field.
There you go.
So getting a little something going with 2 outs in the 6th. But Russ was always seen as the guy that, because he was the temper guy, he was the mouth guy, he was that, for lack of a better term, he's always been that Mamba mentality guy, that I'm going to push you to be the best version of yourself, even if there's a flaw in Russ's game, the ability to shoot. Durant didn't like those kind of guys. That's why he leaves those kind of guys. Durant doesn't get along with Draymond Green. Why? Because Draymond Green is not scared to get into anyone's ass and make them be a better basketball player. And so I just want, when it's all said and done, I want some of these big-time TV broadcasters that said it's all Oklahoma made a mistake. It was all Russell Westbrook's fault. He did all this wrong. I'm ready for someone to just finally come out and say, you know what? Maybe Russ isn't that guy. Because we're now watching Russ take pay cuts to stay with teams to help teams win. We're watching him. Russ carried the Clippers to any kind of success last year in the playoffs because everybody was hurt. He was balling out.
True.
So
I know there's a lot with him. I'm just never going to like him.
That's fine. I'm never going to dislike him.
I think there's a difference in someone pushing and then the way that he just kind of just complains all the time. Like when he was in Oklahoma, like that's one of the things that I hate about Luka is how much he complains.
I was gonna say,
like, don't get me wrong, like I get it, I can't stand it, but with how he played the game, with how Russ played the game, with his high energy and I'm going to try to make you better, he cried so much. And then when a fan was like, you suck, get him out of here, that kind of stuff, I don't care about it. It's not just him, it's all the players that do it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he just said I'm not good at basketball. Get him out of here. No, he shouldn't be here. Like, can't stand that crap. If you can't take heckling, don't play the sport.
Which, and that,
now,
there's a difference in heckling and...
Hate heckling and just heckling.
No, I see what you're saying.
There's a lot of it that's out there. But I've seen Russ argue with fans on the side so much for no fucking reason. Yeah. Just ignore them. Quit getting into that.
That's not his teammates, and that was what he was accused of, was being a bad teammate. He might be a bad athlete to the fan bases, even though, as an Oklahoma fan, I love you. But as far as a teammate, no one's ever said anything about him except for how great of a teammate he is after they've played with him. And so if he's that good of a teammate, how come he gets all the responsibility or all the blame for the Oklahoma championships not happening?
It's because of his personality.
I got numbers that say it was Durant's fault. So
it's the same thing with Allen Iverson. Like, the personality is going to get
in the way
that hate more than even if people start coming out and telling all these stories about what he has done. Like, it's the personality of just the constant, just bickering. Just like with Luka. Like, he's for the rest of his career, he is going to get constant texts just by starting to speak up.
Yes.
Because of the personality. Like, once you've created something, that's who you are. It doesn't matter what goes on behind the scenes. What people see here, that's who you are now.
You have to rewrite your narrative.
Yeah, who I see is someone who's always constantly crying about fans heckling him. Constantly, when he gets fouled, you see people complain, but when you see him complain, it's like he starts it annoys me when people act like that.
Yeah.
So there's just so much about him that I just don't like.
Understand.
Because to me, he's a lot like Allen Iverson, except Allen Iverson just took the shit. Like, he went to the hole and got absolutely pounded and then got up and walked to the line.
Yeah.
Like, he's Allen Iverson softer.
Gotcha.
And that's what I don't like. Because he's got the mentality of, I'm hardcore, but then he also complains and then he tries to act like a badass and, like, tries to fight people.
Gotcha.
Like,
okay.
It's all that, and then it's his fake stats that I don't like.
That's fine. So then you get into the last thing we'll call is they announced the top 10 players going into the season. So I'll run through the list, unless you wanted to take a couple minutes to try to throw some names out there off of it. A little guess action if you want to. We got top 10 list. You can see the first one because he's on my screen here. But
Antonio Davis.
Anthony Davis. Do I agree with him?
I said Antonio Davis.
Yeah,
Anthony Davis.
you read his name. Do I agree that he's a top 10 player in the NBA? Personally, no.
If he's healthy, yes.
If he's healthy and how he's playing, I don't. But no. So he's 10th going in. Would you like to keep going?
Let me see. I would say LeBron easily.
LeBron is the
probably
9th ranked player.
I was going to say about 7 or 8. Okay.
They dropped him from 6th last year to 9th this year.
Okay.
So that was good, 10-9. Let's see, number 8.
Oh, he caught it.
Dang it.
Big, nice play for the outfielder for Houston into the six.
Let's see.
Gets him out of a jam. Michael
Number
freaking Brantley.
8, we will go with.
You can guess in any order. You don't got to be in order. I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just guess 10.
Durant's in there.
All right, so Durant is in here. Kevin Durant is number 7. He's up 1 spot from 8 last year.
Okay. Steph is obviously in there.
Steph is number 5. He was number 5 last year. He has held the same position.
Luka is in there.
Luka is number 4, down 1 spot from 3 last year.
I know that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is in there.
He is. Shea from number 48 last season is 8th this season.
Okay.
Hey.
All right.
He's
let's
only getting better.
see. This is.
You've got one guy outside the top 5 and then 4 top 5 spots. Or 3, the whole 3 top 5. Or top 3.
Wow, am I drawing blanks? Okay, let's go. Let's see. Ice Tray is not in there.
I'll give you one hint. Most of them are in the East.
Oh, Giannis.
Giannis is the number 1.
I don't know why that one skipped me.
There's one other one I'm surprised you haven't
And
done
Dame?
too. Dame is not on the top 10.
Okay.
I don't agree with Giannis being number 1, but he is number 1, and he was number 1 last season.
Jimmy Schmuckets?
No.
Okay.
All 3 of them I'm a little surprised on. I'll give you a little benefit on one of them, but 2 of them I'm pretty shocked you haven't said yet.
Wow. I'm drawing a blank though. It's funny. Nikola Jokic.
Nikola Jokic, your reigning MVP is number 2. Reigning Finals MVP.
Is
Who did say I didn't play much basketball in the offseason.
Jameer on there?
Who?
Jameer? Isn't that his name? His teammate?
No. He's like number 25 or something.
It's Jameer, isn't it? Nelson? Jameer Nelson?
No, Jameer Nelson used to play for the Magic. I remember you talking about here. No, you're talking about Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray. There you go. There we go.
Jamal Murray. We got 2 more. One of them, or both of these players are in the Eastern Conference, so that now narrows you down. You were done with the West.
So let's go here.
You trying to look at what teams?
Yes.
So you see them looking at the logos?
Yeah, let's see. Eastern Conference. Tatum.
Yes, he's number 6. Excuse me. Yes, Jason Tatum is number 6. He was 7th last year. He's moved up 1 spot.
And Embiid?
Joel Embiid is number 3. He was 4th last year. But yes, Joel Embiid rounds out the top 10 of players coming in. He rose a spot largely because of an increased shooting percentage. I don't agree with Giannis being number 1 over Joker. I guess we're going to go off of Joker's lacking ability on defense is what makes Giannis the better basketball player. But in the same card, I can tell you that Joker shoots 3s and hits free throws. Giannis doesn't. So
that is true. That is true.
So kind of either
balance.
side of this, yes.
Balance.
So if you wanted to go, here's the top 7, and then we have 1A, 1B. I would give you that. I'd say the supporting cast situation says that Giannis is in line to be better this season. So, yeah, that's your top 25 or top 10 players currently in the NBA. There's a whole list of guys and surprises and stuff. Like, I can't even remember where I saw the entire list of everybody. Like, one of them was that the rookie first round number 1 pick this year, Wemby, he's already like 37th ranked in the NBA, and it's like, bro, you haven't touched the court yet. Hold on. So that does that, and then looks like we'll dial back a little more football. Looks like we're gonna go some college football real quick before we call it a night. I see you kind of pulled up the schedule.
I pulled it up to look to see what was
see
going
any
on.
games this week. Let's see. Tuesday's action's already passed. Wednesday's going now. Oh, fun fact for you. Thursday. You know the leading receiver on Rice is this season?
No.
Little brother of Christian McCaffrey.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently he was a quarterback, but he has accuracy issues, so he went to receiver. Last season he had a good season his first year. This year they're already saying he might be a draft prospect because he's starting to show flashes in his second year. mind you, their dad played 12 years in the NFL as a receiver.
Sure did.
So-
For the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, so that just to throw it out there, we might have another McCaffrey in the league, and where his draft spot might fall, we might have another McCaffrey in San Francisco.
That'd be pretty cool.
Because if you're San Francisco, you got to have receivers behind Ayuk and Debo, guys that have missed a couple games here and there.
Yeah.
Having another option there would be pretty fun to watch.
So, yeah,
All right.
with with some of the schedule, you got Penn State and Ohio State right off the get-go.
I'm going to take Penn State for the upset in Ohio State.
Woo, really?
I'm calling it right now. Penn State takes Ohio State in Ohio. Ohio State's offense has looked a little bit better, but I don't trust McCord. I just don't.
Yeah,
Notre Dame should have had him. Notre Dame pissed that game away. I'm going to say that Penn State gets the win that they want over Ohio State this weekend.
Ooh.
Called it right now. I don't even know. I don't know what the line is. I got to go to that style of scoreboard look. 'Cause I went to the wrong one here.
OSU 4.5.
Yeah, OSU by 4.5. I'm taking Penn State, so that covers the spread. I guess McCord hasn't played terrible. I just don't like the guy that much. So.
And then you got Tennessee at Alabama. Battle of the one losses. Alabama's favored by 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Washington
and
State, Oregon's a decent one.
I don't think Tennessee is really that good.
I don't think Alabama is that either, though.
Yeah, I mean that is true, but I think Alabama just has more to give than what Tennessee does.
I don't think they cover a 9-point spread, though.
Nope.
I think it'll be a pretty crappy close game.
So, and then you have number 16 Duke at number 4 Florida State. Florida State 14.5 favorite.
Yeah, Duke's still a one-loss Duke. Duke's played good football. Don't sleep on it. That'll be a fun one. I'm not gonna take that upset yet, but I don't think
Riley Leonard is. He's
solid.
Yeah, he's very solid.
I'm not giving them a 14.5 pointer though. I think it's a close football game.
You think so?
I think it'll be a close game. Florida State has not looked. Florida State's peak of this season has been the LSU game. Every game since then has been closer than what it should have been after how they handled LSU in the second half of that football game.
They beat Syracuse 41-3.
Well, Syracuse, we're not going to count that.
Virginia Tech 39-17. Because they barely beat Clemson.
They barely beat
31-24.
Clemson.
Barely beat Boston's College 31-29. Then they went absolutely nuts on Southern Miss.
Yeah, well.
So, yeah, I mean,
it's just not impressive the way after how they dominated LSU. It's not that impressive.
Okay,
2 on for Houston with 1 out in the top of the 7th. That said, there was another one. Like I said, the Oregon Washington State game will be decent. Utah USC. That was one.
This one's
good for my job too.
Even though Utah is ranked 14th and USC is at 18, USC has a 7-point advantage. I'm gonna be honest. I mean,
I'm taking Utah.
I'm taking Utah because
won the last 2.
First off, USC has a Big 12 defense, and all you got to do is slow the offense down.
And USC has
you can score on their defense.
I've come to the conclusion that USC has one very good football player, and then the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
After Caleb Williams, USC doesn't do anything that just says to me, damn, he's good. Like, they just don't. Everybody else is just like, I don't look at him and go, I'm going to watch that guy on a Sunday. Whereas Utah, every season, Utah is undefeated or loses one game really early, and then we look up and go, son of a bitch, they're in the Pac-12 championship game. It's just what they do. Like, they're always that team. So,
They lost to Oregon State.
Yeah,
who 21-7.
Like we said, Oregon State's about to run into. They're going to Oregon to play Oregon, or no, that's Washington State. You said Oregon State. Oregon State's been a good football team. Arizona. So they'll get a win this week. But yeah, no, I would say that it'll be a good game. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Utah takes the upset out there. Looking at it, let's see. Missouri 6-1, probably gonna win over South Carolina. Yeah, UT's back playing Houston after losing the heartbreaker there.
I don't know what you're talking about. We had a bye last week.
Oh, well, I mean, then you had 2 weeks to think about it. North Carolina's probably going to stay undefeated.
North Carolina.
I mean, it hasn't been the prettiest undefeated season, but Drake May and they'll be undefeated when they go to 7-0 after beating Virginia.
Well, so here's the thing. What is? Hold on. Let me look this real quick because I forgot his name. North Carolina.
Is it Washington? Nope. Is it Hampton? The running back.
It is Devontae Walker.
Okay.
I believe he's the Devontae Walker. Okay, so he's the receiver that transferred there, and they ruled him ineligible. They finally ruled him eligible last week.
It was like
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and he's done really well. So
that could open up the offense.
the offense has looked a lot better now that Drake May actually has somebody to throw to.
Okay,
So it's they're going to do a lot better leading up to the rest of the season.
Okay. Then you got Ole Miss, Auburn. Auburn's one of those teams that when they're at home, I don't care how bad their season looks, you can't count them out. Ole Miss is coming to town there. Michigan will stay undefeated. They'll dominate Michigan State. Washington probably dominates Arizona State to stay undefeated. I think the thing to really talk about from last week's game is because they're not the focal point of the shows anymore, but they're still what we're talking about is the upset that happened, or the choke job that we saw. Wasn't that was last Friday night? I know it feels like forever ago, but Colorado.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you're up 29-0.
Oh my goodness! I went to bed 29-0.
It's 29-0 when I stopped looking, and then the defense for Stanford just decided that they were about to go nuts. They held them to 7 points in the second half. Shadur still threw for 400 yards and ran for like 80. Actually, no, he didn't, because at halftime he had 74 yards rushing. And in college, when you are sacked, it counts against your rushing yards, and he finished with 23 rushing yards.
Really?
That's how. Yeah. That's how.
Yeah.
Yes, like that's how extreme the shift was. So yeah, that was the Stinker Bowl there. Other games, I'm trying to see if there's any, like LSU plays Army. We better fucking win. Our season's over. We better fucking win. You know, Air Force is undefeated. They play Navy this week. They're 6-0 though.
That's going to be I haven't seen anything about their uniforms. They're not doing anything special this year?
Normally they do it for Army Navy.
Oh, that's what it is.
Army
That's
Navy does the special uniform ones. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Just kind of looking to see if any of the unranked games might be entertaining to stare at, and I'm not just there's a couple of good games, but we're not seeing anything that just screams, hey, you must watch outside of like that Ohio State game, the Duke game. Let's see. You also are about to start tip-off for college basketball season. That's coming up here pretty soon. And don't y'all better get ready for me to start talking about the name Cooper Flagg. I'm just going to throw that out there. Learn that name. Love that name. Cooper Flagg is going to be a monster in the NBA in 3 years. 2 years. 2 years, I'm sorry. Cooper Flagg's the kid that was playing in this like massive AAU tournament. And he plays a team called the Maine something. And they were playing against the Boozer twins, Carlos Boozer's two sons.
Yeah.
And he hung a quadruple double that involved 40.
Wow.
To win the game. He's that good. He reclassified himself from the 2025 class, where he was the #1 recruit, to the 2026 to the 2025 class, and he stayed the #1 recruit. A year younger than everyone else, and he's still the #1 guy. He hasn't picked his college yet. He canceled his visit to Kansas, so that kind of rules out that he's going to go there. He's about to visit like Connecticut, Duke, all the big schools obviously want this kid.
Yeah.
Kentucky's going to call him. When he gets to college, we're going to see one of the best one-and-done years ever, I think, because this kid is insane. So, yeah, if you haven't heard the name, learn the name, go look him up, and Yordan Alvarez is up with the bases loaded in 2 ounce. So, that said, not really, like I said, not a ton else to talk about. Did you have anything else? Well, then.
No, that's it.
We'll call it a wrap. Thanks everybody for watching, like always, and we'll see you in a few weeks when I get back from traveling.